Test your smoke alarm, they say. Press the button. Does it buzz? That doesn't mean a thing, does it really? The light's flashing, this is alive. It's got a brand new battery in it, and look, there's smoke. I think I'd be dead in my bed before this ever went off. So I would suggest to you, don't just press the button. I would suggest you get a bit of kitchen roll, set light to it, blow it out, wait till it's smoking well, and then try it. So what prompted me to make this test? Well, I had a little incident in my kitchen the other day which caused some smoke, and I was actually pretty surprised and worried that the smoke alarm didn't actually go off to warn me. So I figured I'd take it apart and give it a check out, because I have read that occasionally they get dusty and that stops them working. There are British standards about smoke alarms, and Which magazine did some tests and recommended some best buys, and so I would suggest actually that apart from pressing the button, you try this test with your smoke alarm. When you consider how much smoke there'd have to be in a room before you got this much smoke into a smoke alarm, I think you could be dead before this one went off. Anyway, I investigated the innards of the smoke alarm because I did know that in fact once sensors get dusty they don't work very well. To get into this, it was just a question of removing this one screw and prising off these clips here. Of course they'll all be different, but that pops out, and then you've got the guts. You've got the piezo buzzer there, which depends on contact with these springs to actually work, and you've got the smoke detecting chamber. Now in the chamber you've got a little LED, an optical receiver, and this little tiny potentiometer here that you can adjust in very tiny degrees to adjust the sensitivity. Let's take a look inside the detecting chamber. So inside this chamber you've got a little LED and you've got an optical receiver, and as you can see the LED is actually shining through a hole that way and doesn't normally give light to this little receiver, but once there's a touch of smoke in there, because of refraction, a small amount of light gets reflected through this receiver, and that's what triggers a smoke alarm. But as you can see, the light's flashing now because there's light getting into there and it thinks it's being refracted by smoke. Well, one thing's for sure, it's not dusty, so that's not the problem. Right, well, I've adjusted this little potentiometer, which, as I figured, changes the sensitivity of the optical receptor in this. I turned it anti-clockwise. It was a matter of guesswork really, and I have improved the sensitivity of this now, as I can show you. When the light flashes it means the piezo buzzer would activate, but obviously it's not going to buzz because the piezo buzzer depends on these contacts to actually make the buzzy noise. That given a little bit of smoke, the light started flashing, which means if the buzzer was on it would start going buzz, 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 buzz. Anyway, moving on, I know this is a bit out of my usual remit of YouTube videos, but I felt it was important to actually bring it to your attention. There's plenty of other stuff on my channel to keep you amused on a wet afternoon, but that's it for now. If you have found it useful, why not click on subscribe and hit the notification bell. But for the moment, I'd like to wish you a happy new year, and hopefully I'll see you all again in 2020. Take care.